I don't know what to even say. I'm excited. I'm very excited. May not sound it, but I'm excited, but I'm scared because I think I see the board too well. I think I have too good a feel on how everyone's going to do this year. But I'm so ready. Aren't you ready? We're ready. Been ready for this ever since we walked off the field in January. We're jam-packed. We're high atop. Nervous. Downtown Nashville, Tennessee. An anticipatory downtown Nashville, Tennessee. Not many fingernails left around here. Upset alert meter's back. You remember every Thursday before Saturday in the season, upset alert meter. And this thing was pretty deadly last year, right, Jesse? We low-key called some big upsets. Now, the great part about the upset alert segment is they're not official predictions. So we put a game in the segment, and if the upset happens, we get to claim we called it. And if not, it's not a prediction. Toledo versus Kentucky. We'll talk about it tonight. We're not predicting Toledo unless Toledo wins. Chaos is going to be back this year. So we're talking about a lot of that. Cubelic, heartbreaking story. I'll tell you about it a little bit later on. South Carolina, Virginia Tech. We didn't break down the game the other night. Someone wanted to know why. Well, because it's a Sunday game. So we scheduled it to be broken down on this show. So we're going to do that tonight. I got 2 added best bets aboard the Ramen Noodle Express. I got South Florida and Boise about to go to half next to me. I have got a lot going on. We have a lot going on. We're back. We are back. Got some things to say about Lee Corso in the show tonight as well. Klamath Falls, Oregon is tuned in. Daphne, Alabama. Dallas, Texas. Toronto, California. I cannot in strong enough terms stress to you, you got to be following on the socials at Josh Pate CFB. Okay, it's Thursday night. This time tomorrow, plus a few hours, I'll be in Columbus, Ohio. I'm getting ready for Texas, Ohio State. But the night before, you know what happens on the iJosh. You know what happens on Instagram Live. You know Friday Night Lines is back. And now, look, if you know, you know. If you don't know, just make sure you're following on Instagram. Make sure you're checking the story throughout the day. I plan on going live right at halftime of Auburn-Baylor. And that's all you need to know. And if you want to know what's Friday Night Lines, just tune in. Tune in with some games on your mind that you want to talk about. Specifically, this is a gambling-centric broadcast. We weave a little bit of betting in the show. I don't want this to be a betting-dominated show. That is betting-dominated. Proudly brought to you by FanDuel. In the meantime, I have in my hand 1, 2, 3, 4, too many to count. A bunch of games with some point spreads that are, fairly large to somewhat large, but no one's really talking about in terms of the outright upset. So what we want to know on this show every Thursday during the season is scale of 1 to 10. What's the upset alert meter at right now? For example, Alabama plays Florida State. The whole talk around that thing, Bama minus 13.5, by the way, is Bama going to cover or not? And no one's talking about whether Florida State's going to win. I think I saw one person on ESPN pick Florida State to possibly pull the upset. I don't know whether they were serious or not because, truthfully, I just saw it on Twitter. I don't know if it was real life. Bama is down Tim Keenan. They are down Jam Miller. That's a starting defensive lineman and running back, respectively. How would this upset happen? Weather is going to be a big threat here. I'm not going to lie to you. Bama folks, you remember the Michigan Bowl game? Could look that way. I can't guarantee you thunderstorms. It's Florida, so it could be sunny 1 minute, thunderstorms the next minute, but it's a threat here. I don't know who that favors. I'm just saying it's a threat. Malzahn, Castellanos. You got a new OC, you got a new quarterback, and if they get rolling on third down like Vandy did against Alabama last year, 12 of 18, famously, if they get a ceiling game out of Tommy Castellanos, if Ty Simpson is shaky in his first start, albeit on the road, or I guess above and beyond that, on the road, if FSU's talent roster is just better, much better than their record last year were to indicate that they were, if all that were to happen, it's not like it's a 30-point spread. It's 13.5. I got this at a 4.5 on the upset alert concern meter. I actually like Alabama to win and cover. But you know what? I think I liked them against Vandy last year, too. I probably leaned them against Oklahoma, too. So what does that really mean? It's week 1. No one knows anything in college football. I'm putting that at a 4.5. Next up, this game's in Atlanta. This one I have a little bit more concern about. It is Tennessee and Syracuse. You know how I feel about neutral site games. I'll talk more about that in the show later. So Tennessee, a lot of unknown here. They're favored by 13.5 against Syracuse. You got a new quarterback, obviously. You got new running back talent to break in. You got new wide receiver talent to break in, new offensive line talent to break in. And not only is your quarterback new, you didn't even have him in spring. That's old hat. We've talked about that a lot. The thing that I try and avoid if I'm a Tennessee fan is the disaster scenario in my head, but I can't get it out of my head. So I have a very, very high level of respect for Syracuse under Fran Brown. They lost players in the portal. They lost their quarterback from last year he's graduated. He's gone. There's a lot to pick apart about Syracuse. There's a reason Tennessee's favored by nearly 2 touchdowns here. Here's the thing about these openers, and especially in the openers because you don't have a profile of the team yet this year. So if you're setting odds on a game, you're kind of going based off data that is equally calibrated. Some teams have better competitive character. Some programs have better competitive character than other programs. And my concern, if I'm a Tennessee fan, is I'm looking at this, and the concern about Tennessee folks, as far as I could tell, is, boy, are we going to be ready by the time Georgia comes to town? And I hate it because Syracuse can be very dangerous for you. I don't care who they lost to the portal, and Steve Angeli, new quarterback, left Notre Dame for this opportunity, kind of like we had a guy leave, Kyle McCord leave Ohio State for an opportunity at Syracuse last year. I just think, dude, if Syracuse pops you early, if you look on your bottom ticker and it's 7-0 Syracuse, 11 and change left in the first quarter, it's just going to be a dogfight of a game. I also wonder, Joey Aguilar being as new as he is in Heupel's system and being as turnover prone as he was last year at App State, I just wonder the timing, the rhythm, the calling a play to put a ball in a spot because a receiver or a pass catcher should be there. Does it just look like that? Or does it look a little herky-jerky? I was watching the opening of this USF Boise game, and there were a couple of screens that just took forever to develop. That stuff can happen once and turn a football game because you got a corner going to the house because you took a little bit too long. It doesn't take much. That's what timing and rhythm in an offensive play is all about. And when you thought you were going to be playing at UCLA as late as the end of spring and you're in Knoxville, Tennessee now, yeah, you're not opening against Georgia. Yeah, it is Syracuse, but they can give you trouble. I'm putting a 6 on this game. I'm concerned about it. I took Syracuse in the points. Heupel can go win 38-10 for all I know, but I do have concern about it, so it is on my upset alert meter. Not Washington. I got to talk about them later in the show too, though. Utah, do you know what they do week 1? They play UCLA. Utah is a 5.5-point favorite. The model solidly leans Utah. So even though this line is much lower than the Tennessee-Syracuse line, I have equal concern on it. I've got a 6 on the upset alert meter. Devon Dampier or Nico Iamaleava. Well, that's a pretty immature way to break this game down, the quarterback comparison. But I do believe in the quarterback offensive coordinator acquisition strategy. Notably, Oklahoma has done that this past offseason. And you know who else did it? Utah did it. They just went to New Mexico to do it. They've been talking a lot. They've been whispering a lot about Devon Dampier. And we finally get to see him. This should be a conference game, but it's not because nothing about the college football landscape makes sense. So Utah and UCLA in different conferences, confri, plural of conference. I believe in UCLA. I believe they're a good deal better this year. I do believe they improved themselves, but they were 113th in returning defense in the last metrics that we ran, the last refresh we ran. I assume nothing's changed. And so I do have a little concern here for Utah, but I actually think Utah is going to go on the road and get this done. I like Utah. I'm tempted to bet Utah. I think they win by 7 or more. So I'm going to put a 6 on it because I do respect that UCLA has improved here, but I think Utah has improved as well. And unlike UCLA that's trying to sort of get to a level for the first time in a long time, I'm just looking for Utah to bounce back to that level. Toledo is at Kentucky. Everyone's terrified. This game has been the talk of upset alert circles that I participate in and I am a member of. These are clubs. These are closed clubs, upset clubs, UCs, as Meemaw used to call them. And I'm part of several of them. And the talk in the cigar smoke-filled lounges all summer is, you taking Toledo? Well, it's time. Put up or shut up. They're going into Lexington. Kentucky is a 10.5-point favorite. This thing got all the way down to 7.5. Someone found some extra money. Matt Jones, somebody up there found some extra money and bet on Kentucky. That thing's back up to 10.5. There is not much juice around the Kentucky program. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. It just means they have to possess more than most people think they're capable of, including their own fan base, from what I can tell. Zach Calzada is the starting quarterback there by way of Incarnate Word, by way of Texas A&M. I mean, this dude beat Alabama once upon a time, lest we forget, including me, because I had a credential to the game and I flew home. Yeah, that Zach Calzada. Toledo is top 15 in offensive returning production. They are favored to win the MAC. They have an over-under win total of 8.5. That's one of the highest out of the G5. I am petrified of this game. I'm putting an 8.5 on the upset alert concern meter. And I have more to say about this later on when it comes to the Ramen Noodle Express. I hope I've been specific enough. A couple of games before I get to Georgia Tech. A couple of games, I'm not going to break them down, that I was concerned about early on. I did some digging. I'm less concerned. My Iowa State Cyclones. They are playing South Dakota. And everyone is yelling about how you need to be very careful with South Dakota. Well, what Iowa State needs to be careful about is they just played in another country a week ago. Inexplicably, they don't have a bye this week. Neither does Kansas State. And so they've come home. They're getting ready to play a team that's very good from the FCS ranks. The problem is when you're good in the FCS, you get gutted by the portal. So this dynamic has changed in the last few years. I know you may have this blanket, just blind warning sign on this game because of the travel dynamics. I think Iowa State will be okay here. Not the most aesthetically pleasing game, but I have a relatively low concern on the upset alert concern scale, 3. And Montana State is at Oregon. Our boy Taylor Lewan put this on one of his, not upset alert specials, but one of his picks against the number. Montana State's getting like 27.5 or something like that. They also returned virtually nothing from last year's team that did very notable things at the FCS level. I want you to remember something. Oregon sucked to start the year last year. Everybody up there knows it. Dan Lanning knows it. They were getting sacked left and right. They did not get off to a fast start. I think there may be a little more urgency in week 1 around there this year. So I actually think Oregon's going to win and cover this number. I have no concern about Oregon. As for Georgia Tech, they play on Friday. So we're talking on Thursday. They play tomorrow. You may be listening to this Saturday morning. That's why I saved this game for the end of the segment. I don't appreciate you guys waiting and listening to me in the past, talk about a game that's in the past, because it's very easy for me to sound stupid on a game that's already happened. Or maybe a genius. I don't know, probably in that order. The line has moved towards Colorado here in the last 24 hours. So Georgia Tech's 4.5-point favorite right now. It is yet another in about a line of 5 or 6 games in week 1 that has a number attached to it. And I fully respect the people who make those numbers. I see the model in some cases agreeing with those numbers. And I'm sitting over here saying, I'll have to see it to believe it. I'm going to have to see Colorado hang at least to that degree, like inside a touchdown. I'll have to see it. In fairness, this is my ACC. This is one half of my ACC championship matchup. I think the world of the potential of Georgia Tech this year. I have no earthly idea what to expect from Colorado. That's why I'm not betting any of my money on this, nor am I suggesting you bet any of your money on this, at least officially. It's free country. Well, depending on what state you live in, it's free country to bet on this stuff. You do what you want to, though. I'm going to put a 7 on this one because the line makes little sense to me. Now, I do know there is a very baseline way of thinking about this. The baseline way is, all right, what conference is Colorado in? They're in the Big 12. Where do we think Georgia Tech would stack up in the Big 12? That's where I differ because I think they're a very, very upper echelon Big 12 team. But even the model would suggest, no, they're probably a mid-tier to slightly upper tier Big 12 team. Well, I disagree with that fundamentally. So it's me versus the model in week 1. See, people think that it's just synonymous. Me, the model, me. No. We fight all the time. I hate that it bleeds over on air like this. It's like the kids seeing the parents fight. We don't like that. But I'm going to put a 7 on this. And we'll see. That 7 is not because I'm concerned. God bless Deion Sanders. Love the program out there. I believe in Brent Key too, but the model is telling me that I should be concerned. So I'll have some blind concern on that one. Where I'm not concerned is where I'm stopping on the way to Columbus, Ohio tomorrow. Yes, I am driving, people. What else would I do? Everyone else flying left and right, and I'm just waving at them. No. Your boy here, packing the pickup truck tonight, driving to Columbus, Ohio, stopping at Quick Trip along the way, though. They are fueling the Fall Don't Lie tour every single week, as they did last year, as hopefully they will continue to do. In fact, I think we should just take it upon ourselves to pressure Quick Trip to present every tour until the end of time. I'm not sure if legal can get on board with that, but just a good, solid gentleman's agreement. That's all I'm looking for. And I'm looking for you, as I've seen you do many times today already, to make sure you document when you're stopping at Quick Trip. Many of you have discovered since last year that I'm not lying to you when I say they have cold brew on tap. I mean, walk in, turn usually to the left, and there will be cold brew on tap. And you get the Quick Trip cup, and you pull the tap, and voila, out comes cold brew. It's just, modern medicine is amazing. I'll grant you that. Modern Quick Trips, infinitely more amazing. They also have good quality fuel outside, good quality food and snacks inside. We appreciate them so much. Let's roll along. Jesse, I heard a lot of noise in my ear. Was there anything significant going on out in the truck that I needed to know about? Okay, I'm going to pass that update along to the viewers. Listen, there's a lot of drama outside right now. A lot of drama. And so, as you know, Cubelic joins us on Thursdays during the season. Now, we got a lot of new equipment around here. And so, it's no one's fault. Howard Jones once saying, no one is to blame. And that kind of is the theme song tonight, but we couldn't afford to license the song, so you just have to take me at my word. And they're trying to get Cubelic hooked up. So we may have him. I don't know what to tell you. We may have him, we may not. And frankly, if you've gotten this far into August and your happiness for the remainder of this Thursday hinges on whether you get 20 minutes of Cole Cubelic, like what kind of life are you living? If you get him, you get him. If you don't, you don't. Do I look like I'm sweating it? Absolutely not. I do want to talk to you about another historic name in the college football community who has a very, very notable sign-off coming this week. Bradley, I know you're distracted. Go to camera 2, though. He laughed in my ear. All right, I got to be serious. This is a serious topic, so let me wipe the smile off my face. So this is it for Lee Corso, the final headgear pick of the weekend. It is Thursday. It's August 28th. We may look back on this video, so I just want to document it. Here's what I hope. Lee Corso's 90 years old. He just turned 90 years old this month. This Saturday at the Shoe, Texas versus Ohio State. As far as I'm concerned, it's number 1 versus number 2. Lee Corso will be right there on the field. We'll be there. We'll be on the field, so I'll be able to look at this, and I'll be able to watch history happen. Now, I want you to know, or at least I hope people realize how significant this moment's going to be. It's been an iconic moment. The headgear pick right there about 11:59 or right at high noon Eastern time every Saturday in the fall. It's been baked into my entire life as a college football fan. They've been doing that as long as I was old enough to watch TV on Saturday mornings. And after this, I want you to remember how significant this is because it's not like the torch gets passed. When it's done this Saturday, it's done. When he's done this Saturday, as far as us seeing him every Saturday, he's done. And you don't fully appreciate that in the moment. It takes some time. But you ask, if you're 20 years old, you're not old enough to know this. But if you're 45 years old or 50 years old or 60 years old, you remember things that used to exist in your life, in entertainment or otherwise, that just aren't there anymore. You tell stories about them. To the younger kids, you tell stories just like we will in the future, 25, 30 years from now, to the younger generation about what Saturday used to be like. I don't know what college football as a sport looks like by then, but I do know it's going to be a pretty surreal thing to watch this happen for the last time and then to fast forward 30 years and explain to someone what the build-up to kickoff on Saturday used to contain. And it contained a guy who was an institution. He's been in our lives forever. He was right there on the college game day set, and we would build up, and they'd be on the biggest venue campus for the biggest game in the country, and he'd put a mascot head on. And it was just quintessential college football. And that's how we kick it off. That is history after this Saturday. That's history. It's not happening anymore, which is a smart move on their part. It would be very, very dumb to try and recreate that. So I do agree with sort of closing the book on it. But I got to tell you, we talked about this in the spring, but I know we got a lot of people coming back to the table. I just got to tell you, I appreciate Lee Corso, man. I appreciate him so much because I never doubted that he loved college football. I never doubted that he loved the sport. And you may listen to me and say, well, of course he didn't. I mean, he's on TV every week talking about it. There are a lot of folks who cover this sport who don't really love it. And he did, never doubted it. I always want to remind you, there are some people who are in media and they have opportunities to cover big events and they go cover it, and the moment the camera shuts off, they're on the first thing smoking out of there. And Lee Corso, up until last year, 89 years old, like up until last year, when he was at games, they would end the broadcast, and if it was a noon kickoff, if it was a 3:30 kickoff, if it was a primetime kickoff, he'd go get his sideline pass, and he'd be right there on the field. And then travel commercially back home. You'd see him in airports. He didn't have a big team around him. He's just traveling himself. He's still getting himself around in his late 80s, and you can't fake it. You can't fake it. Not everyone has to love you. Not everyone has to adore every word that comes out of your mouth. Some more controversial than others, especially considering the figure we're talking about here. Go Cougars. But you can't fake that stuff. And to become something that everyone's Saturday revolves around, and to be part of something that everyone's Saturday revolves around, it's a magical thing. It was, at least for my childhood and my early adult life, and et cetera. But one more thing I want to remind you of. We talked about this a few months ago. I just want to say it one more time. What a lesson Lee Corso is. For anybody who thinks the best of their life has passed them by, this man ought to be Exhibit 1A in the textbook of why always to look forward. Lee Corso, I want you to remember this. Lee Corso starts his career as a player at FSU in 1953. This is on the heels of World War II. It's the Korean War era. He's at FSU 53 through 57 as a player. He is then a coach from 1958 to 1985. And by 1986, he is 51 years old. He's got over 3 decades in the history books of being part of the sport of football. Imagine someone walking up to him and saying, hey, Lee, good run. Your most impactful 3 decades on this sport are still to come. What would he have even thought? He would have thought you were crazy. And yet here we are. Been on TV since 1987. Been on the set on campuses for game day since 1993. Dude had been in football his whole life. He's 52 years old, I think, in 1987 or thereabouts, and gets a shot at TV that's going to sustain him until 2025. It is hard to do anything for that period of time, much less be in entertainment on live TV. So I wanted to speak my piece on that. Huge salute to Lee Corso. We'll see him. I would assume we'll see him at some point Saturday, but I appreciate him. I appreciate having gotten to watch him. That's yet another thing that you'll look back and you'll tell the kids one day, grandkids, whatnot, hey, I was around when. And I being my age, I always listen to guys say, well, I was around when Woody Hayes or Bo Schembechler or Bear Bryant coached. Ara Parseghian went from Notre Dame on the sideline to the broadcast booth. The Keith Jackson era, on the tail end of it, I'm old enough to remember that, but the vintage Keith Jackson era. Not around for that. But I was around for this. I was at least around for this. I was around for a number of things that have been historic in my lifetime, and this is one of them. There is no segue to what I'm about to talk about, but I do want to remind you that the season is upon us. I got a text from Alex earlier today. Store's going crazy. We're not going to sell out, though. We don't sell out as people, and fortunately, we've got a machine of a store right now, so it's not selling out. So you can buy until your heart's content at patestatematerial.com, and that shirt right there, that Fall Don't Lie Tour shirt, that one is one of our best sellers. That Ramen Noodle Express shirt's moving too. I'm told per pretty good sources, that we have more Ramen Noodle Express merch in the design process as we speak. Did you see, Jesse, yesterday, someone hit me up and said, where are the koozies? I sent it to Alex. She had koozies in the store within an hour. So I'm not kidding you when I say if you want something, let me know. It won't always be an hour turnaround, but we can get it done pretty quick. And that's why that store is there. It's not for me. One of the great perks of owning your own store is you can get merch for free. But as for the rest of you, yeah, just let me know what you want in there. Within reason, we'll make it happen. They're watching us in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Grandview Heights, Ohio, and Conyers, Georgia. What'd you say in my head? Good question, Bradley. Later. After South Carolina, Virginia Tech, it's probably the most open line of communication I've ever had with Director Bradley on the show. Most of the time, I don't talk to Bradley at all. And now I'm talking to him live. It's great. Why don't you just voice of God it, Bradley? For those who are unfamiliar, by the way, the voice of God feature in live production is when they cease speaking to you in this earpiece and they just talk over the loudspeaker. It's frowned upon, but not totally discouraged. South Carolina opens against Virginia Tech. Now, here's the great thing about college football. South Carolina Williams-Brice Stadium, one of the great venues in the sport. And if you disagree and you're a Virginia Tech fan, it's because you think Lane Stadium is one of the great venues in the sport. And it is my unfortunate duty to inform you both of those venues will lie dormant Saturday because we're going to play this in a neutral field. So that's the way that goes. Atlanta, GA, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The prime suspect in the murder of the Georgia Dome will play host to this game. It is, I think, 3:30 Sunday. If I said Saturday, that's a mistake. It's a Sunday game. This game is why we're starting our Sunday show at 1 Eastern, noon Central. Just FYI. So, another big moment for the ACC here. If you believe in conference superiority, if you believe in a resume that bolsters a conference's chances of getting more than one team in the playoff, which is half a year away at this point, this weekend, these kinds of games are probably going to matter. Candidly, they're going to matter more than they should, knowing the committee, like I think I do. Now, South Carolina is replacing a lot. I keep getting told that. And you're not wrong when you're saying that. Mainly the people looking for an upset alert here keep telling me South Carolina is replacing so much. Well, did they lose 32 kids to the portal? Did they add 30 from the portal? Are they replacing both coordinators? Because that's Virginia Tech that I just described. So, yeah, everyone's replacing a fair amount in this game. Who do we trust more? So here's a non-negotiable. The line's 7.5. This is not some crazy upset if it happens, but if it does happen, one of the non-negotiables in this game is Kyron Drones, quarterback there at Virginia Tech, has to be a successful runner. He is 6'2", he's 235. He is a load to bring down. They got some plus-size tailbacks at Virginia Tech. This is a non-negotiable. If they don't run the ball, they'll get buried. I mean, unless it's a -4 turnover game, unless South Carolina has happened to them what they did to Oklahoma in that game last year, where they got 21 on the board and not a lick of it is offense. Unless that happens, Virginia Tech has to run the ball, and they got to run it from the quarterback position. They got to shrink the game, basically, is what I'm telling you. Now, I know our buddies like Parker Fleming out there. Just earmuff it, bud. I think time of possession is important in this game. I said it. You want a key stat in week one? You want to pop the paper on a pseudo stat, a stat that the analytics mob has long since dismissed? I'm throwing time of possession at you. You know why I'm throwing time of possession at you? Because there is a world where Virginia Tech wins this game, but there are no worlds where they win it where they barely had the ball. So they got to dominate third down. They got to have really good first down success, specifically running the football. They got to limit possessions for Lenora Sellers. All that stuff has to happen, and I just happen to think it's really, really going to correlate with time of possession. Virginia Tech's size and commitment to running the ball against a South Carolina front that, while it does possess good players, some of them are unproven, and there is a thought out there in the community that they might be a little vulnerable to having the ball run right at them. Motivation, that's what it sounds like to me. We are about to find out about South Carolina's receivers. Now, this is a breath of fresh air to me because in the spring, I wanted him to go heavy in the portal at receiver. And Shane Beamer said, respectfully, no. And I said, why not? And so then spring practice happened, and then the post-spring portal happened. They did not go, well, they didn't go hard enough after Trevor Pena. He went to Penn State. I don't know how hard they went after him. Anyway, they trusted the guys they had. I thought it was foolish. Fall camp rolls around. The word out of fall camp is, beyond Nick Harbor, there are some guys that are really rounding into form. The room is really underrated. And all the while, I'm like, hey, I hope you're right, man. I love South Carolina. However, going to have to see it to believe it. So it's time to see it. God always eventually makes you play 12 games. And he will do the same with South Carolina. So we've got to see it here. Now, if you're right, if you guys are right about how underrated this receiver room is, I should see it in this game. I got Mike Shula up there working with Lenore Sellers. I got him improving in pocket awareness. I got him improving in passing the ball within the framework of the play call. I know what he can do with his legs, but I want to see the passing game. And I want to see a guy popping on the stat sheet whose last name is not Harbor. If I get that, and you guys were right, some special things could happen. But I got to tell you, I don't understand the line here. This is another game. As I said earlier in the show, it's another game out of like 5 or 6 this weekend that I'm looking at. This one more so than any of the rest. And the model thinks Virginia Tech covers in this game. The number screams at me, something's off. And I'm just going to sit here and say, boom, I close the model. I just shut the model entirely. I don't really care how dangerous the number looks. I don't see it. I got Sellers, I got Stewart. Virginia Tech 1-12 in one possession games since 2022. 7 of their top 9 tacklers are gone. Woodson, their best linebacker, got popped with a DWI. I don't know what his status is for this game. They're starting a center who does not have a single start and does not have a single snap to his name, I believe, at the college level. Faison got ruled eligible at tailback, so that journey's over. And Lenore Sellers, especially on play action, was deadly last year. And I think that'll be open for him, especially since we got a tailback that we can reliably depend on. I think they're going to win the game by double digits. Let me show you what the model thinks, just for the record, and I'll show you what FanDuel thinks. So FanDuel's got South Carolina minus 7.5 on the board right now. The Pate State model has South Carolina minus 6.5. So it is screaming, take Virginia Tech. You're across a key number. You're getting 7 and a hook there. No, I'm laying it. I'm laying it. The way I look at this game is not, South Carolina minus 7.5. Ugh. I am thinking, wow, I get South Carolina and I only have to lay single digits. I like South Carolina up to 9.5. Like, I really like him in this game. Model completely disagrees. So that's why I'm not personally betting it, because I'm talking about my gut and my personal feel, which are not allowed to bet my money. This is the AP number 13 team, South Carolina. I am predicting that they will be squarely inside the top 10 by Tuesday, I guess, when the poll comes out, because I think the showing they put on this weekend is going to warrant that. Now, Academy Sports and Outdoors, Bradley. Bradley's on the take from Academy. Academy got to Bradley and had him come in my ear and say, hey, we're going to talk about Academy? Yeah, when the time comes, Bradley. Academy Sports and Outdoors has been a longtime partner of ours. They are ready to gear you up. Okay, they're not going to beg you. I am. Please go to Academy before you go tailgate this weekend. Please do it. Look at that weather forecast, depending on where you are. Most places outside of Arizona, it is going to be very, very mild. Very mild. Suspiciously mild. So whether you need sweaters or whether you can manage short sleeves, you need the canopy tents. You need the buckets. You need the wagons. You need the chairs. You need the big league chew. That's an evergreen statement. You need the big league chew, but you need to visit Academy. There's a lot of stuff there you don't even need, you know you need, but I know you need it. And academy.com if you can't get there in person. So happy to have them with us always. And I'm also happy to tell you that I've got 2 additions to the Ramen Noodle Express here. The Ramen Noodle Express, for those of you unfamiliar, is that's our best bets every week. And we have profited 6 out of the last 7 years we have made money. And we're looking to go 7 out of the last 8. I just dropped gum on the floor, in case you didn't see that, Jesse. So the other night we added Ball State plus 18.5. That number has already moved down to 17.5. We got Syracuse plus 13.5. That's still widely available. We got Miami plus 2.5 against Notre Dame. I am adding 2 more games, the first of which is Colorado State plus 21.5 on the road at Washington. I am a believer in Washington. I just happen to think the line's a little inflated relative to what it should be. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, I am rolling with Toledo now that I got it back to 10.5 against Kentucky. Good, solid 23-21 win coming here for Kentucky. So good for them. Okay, we're not going to implode the program. We're just going to come in under the number, Toledo plus 10.5. And those are 5 so far that we have on the Ramen Noodle Express. Now, as you know, this is nowhere near complete. Friday night lines tomorrow night, Instagram Live, halftime of Auburn-Baylor. Make sure you're following at Josh Pate CFB and make sure that you're tuned in. It is a great vibe. Live chat, very active. I am very interactive with it. I got the model pulled up. I got the FanDuel monitor pulled up, and it's a good time. Speaking of FanDuel, profit boost time, guys. Pay attention here. Pay attention. Texas, Ohio State, biggest game of the weekend. Okay, that is their big game this weekend. 50% profit boost if you're betting that game. And you can bet the side, you can bet the total. It's a minus 200 juice minimum here. So, don't go bet something that's minus 500, but minus 200 or better odds. And there is a 50% profit boost on this. So that's not free money. It's just insane value. FanDuel, the exclusive odds provider of the show. And we will be coming to you live from a hotel room tomorrow night in the cleanest of ways. Cleanest. FanDuel would have nothing to do with anything otherwise. But Friday Night Lines brought to you by FanDuel. Will come your way tomorrow night. Okay, moment of truth. Jesse, what's the deal? Ladies and gentlemen, I have terrible news. Cubelic is not with us. Cubelic has left the building. Some say he was never in the building. But that's okay. I have some things I was going to talk to him about that I'll talk to you about. I do want to remind you guys, by the way, one of you asked about this in the live chat a second ago. I didn't have anywhere to put it in the show. I want to remind you, like a lot of you are waiting. I know good and well a lot of you are going to games this weekend and you haven't bought tickets yet. And I think that's probably how I would be too. So if you're planning on buying the tickets, go ahead and do it. I just want you to know that 10% off code still applies. Some of you were asking, is that still applicable? Yes. Go to SeatGeek, buy your tickets, PATE10 at checkout, PATE10 at checkout. I'm getting you 10% off your tickets. Any purchase up to $200, that's 10% off. Any purchase over $200, it's just $20 off. So, you got to buy the tickets anyway. The way I figure it, you should save some money on it. I'll tell you what I was going to talk to Cubelic about, and I'm not going to pretend to know what he was going to say. But we're here. Guys, this is it. We made it to kickoff. As I'm talking to you, it's Thursday night, so if you're watching the live show, we're not too far away from Cincinnati and Nebraska kicking off, potentially playoff-bound Nebraska, potentially, according to some. I got to tell you, these intriguing games this weekend. Notre Dame, Miami, obviously. Syracuse, Tennessee is very intriguing to me. Mississippi State at Southern Miss is intriguing to me. No one's talking about that game. Charles Huff went to Southern Miss, took most of Marshall with him, not the dude, but the team, the roster. And Mississippi State under Jeff Lebby in year 2, they're not having visions of competing for the SEC championship, but they believe they're very much improved. They can't go down to Hattiesburg and lose. They're 13.5-point favorites, I think, right before the show started. I checked. So that's an off-the-radar game, but I'm really, really intrigued to see how that one turns out. We already talked about Toledo, Kentucky, but I'll tell you what I'm paying most attention to. There's some high-profile games, so obviously, man, everyone's going to watch those. The post-Week 1 vibes on many of these coaches will be 180-degree swings depending on outcome. And I want you to think this through with me for a second. Think about Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell has very little equity built up a year after winning the ACC, and by his own fan base's admission, getting screwed out of a playoff spot. And to think that he has thin ice under him with hot blades on his feet a year later is wild. But that's what 2-10 will do to you. So I'm just thinking about how this game could go. If he pulls an upset, the vibes are back. That's great. if they're competitive in a loss against Alabama, the vibes certainly aren't all the way back, but it actually instills confidence. If it's 38-13 Alabama Saturday, as time ticks down in an emptied out but newly renovated stadium, I'm not sure what the vibe is. Now, they got 2 sort of tune-up games before you ever see them again when they go on the road at Virginia, but that could be radically different. Brian Kelly, LSU goes to Clemson. Brian Kelly, if he goes up there and gets that win, dude, it's every fan having his back and looking at folks like me, because I'm picking Clemson to win the game, and I'm a little down on LSU relative to what the market is. I only have them going 8-4. And everyone will look at me and trash me, and that's great. I'll probably trash myself if they go up there and win. But if they don't, if they drop another season opener, and the reasons they drop it is they can't run the ball, and quarterback tosses a couple of picks, secondary doesn't quite stand up against Cade Klubnik like you hope it will, just the same stuff you dealt with last year. If that's the reason they lose, what are they saying? Because you know the schedule you still got to play. If you go home 0-1, what are they saying? Sark's the most fascinating one to me. Steve Sarkisian's one of the top head coaches in America, and yet if they go up there and they lose to Ohio State, that's losing to the national champ in their building with them as a 1-point favorite at the moment, mind you. But here's what it would sound like. As I said Tuesday, what it will sound like is you had a shot against DeBoer a couple of years ago and you lost. And then you had a couple of shots against Kirby last year and you lost and you lost. Then you got a shot against Ryan Day and you lost. And now you got another shot against Ryan Day and you lost again. We going to win a big game? You beat Saban at Alabama. That's wonderful. Is that your entire career? It's going to be defined by that one time we went into Alabama and beat Alabama? Or are we going to be a consistent team, a consistent program that matches up against the big boys and comes out on top? They'll talk about him having a big game problem if they lose this. That will be the talk. And Hugh Freeze, this is a Friday night game. I mean, Hugh Freeze and Auburn going into Baylor, you talk about an outcome that could have disaster written all over it. This happens to someone every year. It happened to Florida State last year. It felt like their hopes and dreams just went up in smoke. As it turns out, that was true. Auburn's, preseason goals won't be done if they lose against Baylor. They're favored by 2.5. Like, it's a very competitive, it's thought to be a very competitive game. If the offense is ugly and they lose, much less if it's turnover prone and they lose, and it just looks like the same problems again, and you still got at OU, at A&M, Georgia, Missouri, Alabama later in the year, you still got all that left to go. Yeah, very uncomfortable. So just some stuff I'm looking forward to. Look, we've talked ourselves to death on this. I feel like a substitute teacher that got through a lesson plan and there's still 15 minutes on the clock, but we can let class out early here. I want to get home and eat anyway. I appreciate you guys being here. Make sure that not only you are subscribed to the channel, make sure everybody in your social circle is as well. We've been adding thousands of subs per day on this channel, and it's free, and I appreciate it, but still our numbers say only half of you are subscribed. And it just helps us out, and it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't sign you up for anything, I promise. And if you need to explain to someone what the show is, just have them go to the channel. I just pinned that video. Earlier today, I pinned it for any non-subscriber on the top of the YouTube channel. It explains everything about the show, every bit of nomenclature, every bit of inside baseball terminology, every inside joke, every title, everything. The name of the tour, every white T-shirt, everything. So I appreciate you guys so much. Remember, Sunday, special start time, 12 Central, so 1 o'clock Eastern, the time the NFL games would be starting if the NFL was happening this week. That's what time we'll start the show, Sunday. Until then, finally, let's enjoy week 1 and let's win. Let's win in week 1. No one's losing in week 1. Appreciate you guys. For producer Jesse, for director Bradley, I'm Josh Pate. Take care. See you Sunday. Until then, God bless.